Hello, and welcome to Episode 3 in the Disciplining and Discipling Like Jesus video series, where we will be learning the 12 practical ways to discipline and disciple our children like Jesus. If you would like a brief overview of this series, check out Part 8 from the Gospel-Based Parenting playlist, which answers the question, how does Jesus discipline? I'll go ahead and put a link below in the description. All right, these are the 12 ways that Jesus disciplined his disciples, and these are the 12 ways that we can also practice true biblical discipline with our own disciples, our children. Today, we'll be talking about serving. Let's get started by taking a look at what Jesus said about serving. In Mark 10, verses 42 through 45, we read, Jesus called them, his disciples, together and said, "You know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Jesus did not lead the way that the rest of the world's leaders do. Worldly leaders flaunt their power and their authority through force, intimidation, coercion, and manipulation. But worldly leadership is not godly leadership. Jesus turned the wisdom of the world on its head. Instead, he said that a true godly leader must first be a humble servant. Can you imagine the look on the disciples' faces when he told them that they must be the slave of everyone else? I'm not sure what you think of when you think of a slave, but these are some of the images that come to my mind. People being whipped, people, even children, being sold to the highest bidder, mothers being separated from their children, people of all ages forced to work against their will for someone else. And while slavery is an institution that has existed in ancient times and still exists today, being a slave is not something that most people would consider to be something good. So then why would Jesus say that whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else? Most books that you read about parenting will focus on the parent's authority, like you'll see here in these books. Because I said so. The relation of parental authority to children's behaviors and attitudes. And of course, who's the boss? How to regain and maintain your parental authority when your kids rule the roost. Wow. And Christian books often do the same thing. To Train Up a Child is one of the most popular Christian books on parenting, but one that I definitely do not recommend, due to the author's views on hitting children and an extreme view of parental authority. I share portions of this book in my own book, Gospel-Based Parenting, so you can have a better understanding of why this book should not be found in Christian literature. The second book, Don't Make Me Count to 3, was actually given to me by a former pastor's wife. Just looking at the cover of this book was so disheartening for me. Notice how the mother is literally towering over and around her very unhappy child. And the last book, Parents Rising, 8 strategies for raising kids who love God, respect authority, and value what's right. All these books place a strong emphasis on the parent's authority over their children. They use the argument for authority as an excuse to use force, coercion, intimidation, and manipulation, just like worldly leaders do. So I began to really ask myself, Jesus, the only perfect authority in this world, said that if I want to be a leader like him, then I must be a servant and a slave of everyone else. I don't want to be a servant or a slave to anyone else, and definitely not to my kids. What can he possibly mean by this? This verse was a hard pill for me to swallow, and to be honest, I don't know what this verse will look like or mean for you and your family, but I encourage you to pray and ask God to show you what this verse means specifically for you as a mother or a father. But we can definitely look at scripture to get a better idea of some of the differences between worldly leadership and godly leadership, as demonstrated by Jesus. You will know that you are operating in a worldly leadership style when you believe and or behave as though you are more important than others. In this case, when we believe or behave that we're more important than our children. Because the Bible teaches us in Philippians 2:30 that we are to consider others, in this case our children, as better than yourself. Worldly leadership is selfish or self-centered, but godly leadership is selfless or others-focused. Worldly leadership is full of pride. As Jesus said in the verses we studied today, worldly leaders flaunt their authority. But godly leadership, like Jesus, is full of humility. Worldly leaders lead by forceful control, but godly leaders lead by patient service. And last but not least, worldly leadership is characterized by manipulation and intimidation, but godly leadership is characterized by compassion and cooperation. Take a look at this list here and ask God to show you ways that you are demonstrating worldly leadership with your children, and ways that you can cultivate a godly leadership style with them instead. I would also encourage you to discuss this chart with your partner or someone who sees you regularly interacting with your children in order to get some honest feedback, because there are times that we do not perceive ourselves as others do, or even as we really are. It helps so much to be able to have an outside perspective on the way that we are with our children, and to be able to compare that to the way that we want to be with them. And I pray that every day we will be able to be more and more like Jesus. So before we finish our episode, I want to give you 10 practical tips on how you can serve like Jesus, both inside the home and outside the home. Please keep in mind that these are just suggestions, not commands. You are welcome to do some or all or none of them. The important thing is to pray and ask God what He wants you to do, and then do that. All right, let's get started. Number 1, the first way that you can serve inside the home is to help with care tasks. Several months ago, we started using the phrase care tasks instead of chores because I don't know about you, chores are a bore. A simple shift in our language has dramatically shifted our attitude and our experience of the things that we have to do on a daily basis. By calling them care tasks instead of chores, I can better communicate that the reason why we do things like laundry and dishes is because we want to care for ourselves and for others in our home. So we can serve one another by helping with those care tasks. I invite my children to help me do various care tasks in the house, but I also serve them by offering to help them with care tasks. If my children are struggling to fold laundry or pick up their toys, I can model serving them by helping them. Number 2, clean up messes. This kind of goes with number 1, but another way to serve inside the home is to clean up messes. Many people view a mess as a bad thing, but you can also choose to view a mess as a sign of creativity or fun. So I try not to shame my kids for making messes. Making a mess is not a problem. Leaving a mess can be. So when someone does make a mess, I'll simply say, "When we make a mess," and my children will say back, "We clean it up." Simple as that. When we make a mess, we clean it up. No yelling, no shaming, no drama, no guilt. And while the person who made the mess should clean it up, I can model serving by helping to clean up messes, both mine and someone else's. I know it means a lot to me when my children offer to help me clean up when I make a mess, so I can model serving by helping and offering to help them too. Number 3, share the schedule. Imagine for a minute that you woke up and had no idea what was on your schedule for that day. For some of you, that sounds like an absolute dream, but that scenario would create quite a bit of anxiety and stress for me. I like to know what the plan is for the day. It helps me to be purposeful for my time, and I appreciate the structure of having a schedule, even if we don't follow it to a T. Many children greatly benefit from having a schedule too, a visual representation that they can see and refer to in order to know what the plan is for the day, the week, the month, the year, and what they can look forward to. So one simple way to serve your children is to share the schedule with them and give them the opportunity to be a part of creating the schedule too. Number 4, give a massage. Many of us are familiar with the many benefits of giving a massage to a newborn, but I will tell you that massages are beneficial for all people of all ages, not just babies. A few weeks ago, my 7-year-old daughter was having a really difficult day. She was extremely emotional, angry, and frustrated with everything and everyone. I was tempted to be angry and frustrated right back at her, but instead I thought, how can I serve her in this moment? So instead of yelling at her or using my authority to demand that she fix her attitude immediately, I instead invited her to take a nice, hot bubble bath. I added some Epsom salts to her bath water. I turned down the lights, turned on the diffuser with some lavender essential oils, and turned up some spa music. Then I invited her to lay down in the bath while I rubbed her feet. It was such a beautiful moment to be able to serve her by washing her feet, literally as Jesus did for his disciples. All of her anger and frustration just melted away, and she actually started to cry. The Bible is so true when it says in Romans 2 verse 4 that kindness leads to repentance. So maybe try giving your child a massage and seeing how you can serve them through that physical and emotional connection. Number 5, we can serve by cooking a special meal. Food is one of the primary ways that we serve the people that we love. Food is a physical, emotional, and social experience that we have the privilege of sharing with our children every single day. Take the time to try out a new recipe, or have breakfast for dinner, or maybe do dessert first for a change, or serve breakfast in bed, or try out cooking a recipe that was passed down through generations in your family. Invite your child to be a part of the cooking process with you, or simply surprise them with a special meal. Those are all great ways to serve your family at home. Number 6, read with your children. This is one of the best ways that we can serve our children. Reading together helps to stimulate their brains as well as build a strong connection together. Number 7, serve the ones you love by leaving them love notes. Whether it's a piece of paper in their lunchbox or a smiley face on the bathroom mirror, let the people in your home know that they are loved. Number 8, another practical way to serve inside your home is to foster or adopt. You can foster or adopt animals from the local shelter. Or you can make a commitment to foster or adopt children that are in need in your community or even around the world. Fostering or adoption is one of the greatest ways that we can serve others right in our own home and teach our children how to serve others too. It's also a great way to demonstrate the gospel because God said that He adopted us. What a wonderful way to show God's love for us by loving others through the gift of adoption. Number 9, babysit for a single mom or a family in need. As a single mom, I can tell you that one of the greatest ways that my family, friends, and church practically served me was by offering to babysit my children for free. It was such a blessing for me to be able to go buy groceries without worrying about my 2-year-old having a meltdown in the store, or to be able to take some time to go do some self-care like getting my hair or my nails done. As a result, I often look for ways to babysit or care for other single moms so that they're able to have a much-needed break, and my children are able to have a much-needed friend over for a much-needed playdate. Number 10. This is one of the most important ways that we can serve our children, by praying for and with them. Many parents take the time to pray for their children, but it really makes a difference when we can take the time to pray with our children too. I hope that you've been able to start thinking about 1 or 2 new ways that you can start serving inside your home. All right, now let's take a look at 10 practical ways that we can serve outside our home. Number 1, visit a nursing home. Prior to COVID, my children and I would make Christmas cards or Valentine's Day cards and then deliver them to the residents in our local nursing home. Sometimes we would go with a group of friends to sing Christmas carols or participate in the local preschool program that would bring preschool-aged children to visit the residents in the nursing home. It was so much fun to see the smiles on everyone's faces. While we went there with the intention of serving the elderly, I often found that their hugs and smiles and love served us too. Number 2, teach your children to serve by picking up trash or litter. One rule that we have is to always leave a place better than how we found it. We try to keep an eye out for trash that people leave behind and serve others by picking it up and throwing it in the trash. And number 3, we can serve by giving food or blessing bags to the homeless. Last week we went out to eat at a restaurant and my daughter noticed a homeless man that was sitting outside of the restaurant. As soon as we started to order our food, she immediately asked if we could order something for the man outside. I love that she sees the people in our community that need help and she takes action to serve them. I also have a friend who prepares blessing bags with her kids, and then she keeps them in her car in case they run across someone who's homeless or in need. They fill each bag with bottled water, soap, shampoo, a toothbrush, toothpaste, a hairbrush, a blanket, a pocket Bible, and any other supplies that they think would be helpful for someone in need. Number 4, adopt a family or a friend. This is a great way to serve people outside of your home. You can choose to adopt a kid in the neighborhood, a family in your church, or an elderly person in your community that needs love and support. Be purposeful to spend time with them. Help them with chores in their home. Invite them over for dinner. Share your holidays with them. Serve them in any way that God puts on your heart. Number 5, write or deliver letters. As I mentioned in tip number 1, we would write and deliver letters to residents in our local nursing home, but there are tons of people that you can serve by writing and delivering letters. Write a letter to soldiers fighting overseas in our military. Send a letter to a person in prison. Make a get well soon card for people in your local hospital. Write a thank you note to your local police people, firefighters, teachers, pastors, anyone you can think of. Writing letters is a practical way to serve people in our community. Number 7, bake for others. You can bake cookies for your neighbors, for your church, for the elderly, anyone you want. Baking is a fun activity that you can do with your children to serve others and to help make their life and someone else's a little bit sweeter. And number 7, we know that food is a great way to serve, but in addition to cookies and cupcakes, we can serve by delivering meals to people. In my church, whenever someone gets sick or has a surgery or has a baby, we set up a meal train for them. This is a practical way to serve people in need. I'll put a link below so that you can use that to help set up a way to deliver meals to people in your church or in your community. And number 8, another great way to serve and to teach your children to serve others is by going on a mission trip. Yep, you heard me right. Take your children on a mission trip. Whether you're doing local missions or traveling abroad, I highly recommend taking your children on a mission trip with you. It makes such a difference for them to be able to see and serve people in other parts of the world. I went on my very first mission trip when I was 12 years old, and I've been on mission trips with babies and toddlers. So go for it. Take your children on a mission trip. Go with them to serve in another country, and I think that you'll find that you will learn from the people that you meet there far more than you could ever hope to teach. In fact, this is one of the main reasons why my website is called Peaceful World Schoolers, because the greatest teachers that I've ever had in my life were often people that I met in third world countries that I intended to serve, but instead served and blessed me. Number 9, volunteer. Look for organizations that you or your children are passionate about, and then look for ways that you can volunteer to support their mission. It could be a local pregnancy center, a homeless shelter, your church, Habitat for Humanity, or any other organization that you choose. The opportunities to use your gifts and talents to serve others are endless. And last but not least, we can serve people outside of our home by praying for and with them. This takes a lot of boldness and courage to pray with other people, especially strangers, but ask God to lead you and to guide you to serve others through prayer. I hope that this video has been helpful for you and your family. I would encourage you to try to pick 1 or 2 things this week that you can do to serve people inside the home and outside the home. And this concludes part 3 in the Disciplining and Discipling Like Jesus video series. Feel free to add other tips and tricks below in the comments with your favorite ideas for serving, and be sure to check out Part 4. This video series is based on my book Gospel-Based Parenting, which is available for purchase on Amazon.com. You can also download a free copy of my book from my website, www.peacefulworldschoolers.com. Every chapter includes a list of reflection and application questions that are meant to inspire discussions between you and your spouse, your small group, or even your church. These discussions are so important and will help you to reflect on your own personal experiences, analyze your own biases or preconceived ideas, and apply biblical truths in a way that will transform your family as you live out the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if you have enjoyed this series so far, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you'll be able to continue to receive updates on my latest videos.